Hey, good morning, guys. Welcome back. I just thought I would share this Yahoo Finance video with the CEO of MindMed. I don't know if everyone got a chance to watch this, but it's a really good interview, and I think you should all take a look. Enjoy.
On the Canadian NEO yesterday, MindMed became the first psychedelic pharmaceutical company to be listed on a public stock exchange. Joining us now is MindMed's co-founder and co-CEO, JR Rahn. So what does it mean that you are a psychedelic pharmaceutical company?
Neuropharma company, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, help me out.
I would love
to use both.
What do you guys? I mean, you hear that a psychedelic company is going public, and everybody thinks LSD and mushrooms. What are you guys doing? Is this medicine?
Yeah, it is. It is medicine. So MindMed was set up to develop medicines that are based on psychedelics, and actually modern psychedelics. If you take a step back to the 1940s, there was a guy named Albert Hofmann who was researching something that became LSD, and that was happening inside of a place called Sandoz Laboratories, which is now part of Novartis. So this modern psychedelic renaissance traces its roots back to the pharmaceutical industry. And so what we're trying to do is really complete that legacy and ultimately create good outcomes for patients based on these substances.
So one of your investors is Bruce Linton, who is part of Canopy Growth. Certainly the marijuana trade has been very, let's say, enthusiastic over the last couple of years. Do you see a similar thing happening in your field? I mean, how do am I wrong to kind of look at those as two related areas, or did you see them related, or do you see what you're trying to do separate from what, a lot of the cannabis names are trying to accomplish?
Sure. I think our industry, it's a nascent industry, and we're one of the leaders in it at the moment. But it's a completely different industry. There's various factors that are going to make it different. One of which is that anything that we do, we will not touch recreational psychedelics.
Okay.
Everything is happening through the FDA pathway, which creates high barriers to entry, and ultimately we think is going to attract institutional capital that never invested in the cannabis space.
And let me just build on that. So what are the legal and regulatory hurdles that you have to clear in order to gain not necessarily widespread distribution, but with medical approval?
Sure. So all of the substances that we're conducting clinical trials on are happening through an FDA pathway. And because of that, we can do that in a federally legal manner. And ultimately, if we are to get an approval of one of our drugs, there will be some form of rescheduling of these substances.
So you mentioned that this initially grew out of a company like Novartis. So
Sure.
If this is such a good idea, why doesn't Novartis just do it again?
Well, so Johnson & Johnson actually, back in Q2, I believe, they got a drug approval for S-ketamine, which is based on very similar to the psychedelic ketamine. Mm-hmm. And so Big Pharma is looking at this space, but Big Pharma also likes to stay a little bit on the sidelines and let the earlier stage and mid-stage development happen with companies like ours, and then look to acquire in those assets in time.
And what do you think you're going to be able to cure or treat? What's your hope here?
Sure. So the reason that I started this company was to find a solution for addiction. It's one of the biggest problems in America, the opioid addiction. There's 11 million people misusing opioids in this country. It costs the country $500 billion a year, yet we don't have solutions that are actually solving the problem. And so what we want to do is create the effectively antibiotic for addiction. And we don't want to put somebody on a pill a day for the rest of their lives. And that's vastly different than I think a lot of pharmaceutical companies, but we want to solve problems.
Well, and is the push to use, let's say, things that we might know recreationally, right? So I think a lot of people have probably taken LSD or done Molly, and now you're saying, okay, well, some of the active ingredients in there we can use for medical use. Is this in a way cleaner than some pharma drugs right now? Is there something about going the neural route, the psychedelic route, that actually has fewer side effects than some of the stuff that you hear on commercials where the list is 20 seconds long of all the possible side effects?
Sure. I mean, there's side effects of any substance that you put into your body. The way that we look to treat folks is that we're going to have hallucinogenic therapies, so things like LSD that are, actually can create some form of change in your mind, and then also non-hallucinogenic medicines where we see that there's a direct impact on a therapeutic value, but might not necessarily cause a trip. And so, yes, they are going to be very clean because all of the products that we work on, or all the drug products, are GMP. And that's, I negotiated GMP LSD. It's a cool thing to wake up in the morning and work on.
Fascinating. JR Rahn, MindMed co-CEO, newly public company. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.